Welcome into the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey, producer Chris, once again behind the scenes on today's show as we run through all the latest on the Dallas Cowboys. First, a question for you guys, one we've asked before. Do you trust the Cowboys front office? Y for yes, N for no. Y for yes? Because I don't. I do not. Madman going, takes 40 minutes to start a live stream. No, it's just scheduled. It's scheduled so that you can know when it's going to happen. That's all that is. A lot of no's in there. Bruce got the toxic juice. John, Donald, Abe James Mag, Shard Lee, John, Jerry, Steven, Brian. There can only be one. Jalen, Forrest John, Dwayne Jackson. Vince says yes. That is our first yes of the day. Do you trust the Cowboys front office? Cowboys Fantasy says no. Andrew Vanderpool says no. Daniel says no, but I think we aren't done yet. You have the draft. You better crush the draft, or else it's not. The vibes are going to be even worse than they are right now. $20 super chat from Andrew Vanderpool. I had a dream last night, which we didn't sign Prescott, is because Dallas is wanting to see if McCarthy fell to them and picked him in the first round. If I keep dreaming that, I refuse to go back to sleep, LOL. Yeah, I don't think you have to worry about that. They're not going to. He's not going to fall. It's very difficult to see him get out of the top 12 at the worst. Top 13. So he's not going to be there. Not going to be there. This is today's Super Chat menu. The second to last chance to get $10 into the signed Drew Pearson mini helmet entry. $50, you go in the Beer Bong Hall of Fame, and I'll do a beer bong out of it. Because it has been a lot of draft stuff, I have not worked out very much. So $20, I'll do 10 push-ups. So you can make my arms hurt real bad. We'll bring producer Chris on here for the double cam look. Or the top cam look, whatever it is. And then I will do my push-ups that I owe for Andrew Vanderpool, throwing in the $20 super chat. Thank you very much, Andrew. Chris, you can give some shout-outs here, as I'll do my 10 push-ups. Since, we did plenty for the flags this year, for the Cowboys being the penalty boys again.
Here we go. You guys trust the front office. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Tom going all the way down. Great push-ups
Chris
there.
Chris can't count. That was actually 11.
Oh, was it? Well,
there's a freebie.
It's okay.
There's a freebie in there.
I didn't see when you started, so.
Because there's big monitors and stuff in your way. It's fair. It's fair. Uncle Shay wants a push-up cam. Maybe one day we'll figure out how to pull that off. Maybe we'll turn around the I don't know. Maybe. It's not like I clean the floors very often, so maybe you don't want to see that. I don't trust them. I do trust them for the most part during the draft, but I also just straight up don't trust them still. Like to do the other things that make them good enough. That's my concern.
Anything?
Well, free agency and handling contracts. Like they do draft pretty well. They identify talent pretty well, but they don't do things right. They don't maximize their windows the way they're really supposed to be maximizing windows. That's what bothers me the most here, is that they don't consistently find ways to set themselves up for success there. So my answer is no. I don't trust them. At least not at the moment. That could change, but I don't. They have to earn back the trust, Now, today's show is made possible by Game Time. You download the Game Time app at gametime.co and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. That's code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. Obviously, opening day underway, but you can not spend as much money for tickets if you go to games later on. I mean, when the A's come to town, because they are bad, you can get tickets, two-person tickets for $24. And remember, you're going to get $20 off with promo code CHATSPORTS. So you can either spend barely any, or maybe just get better seats in the process there. The link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. But Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets to your next big sporting event, also concerts, comedy, theater, etc. Game Time is the spot for it. Keep an eye out for the zone deals, by the way. Every now and then you'll see a zone deal, like this one right here for the Astros-Rangers game. You pick the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you'll save money in the process. They'll give you a discount on that because who cares what seat you're sitting in? You're in the same section. It's not that hard to balance that. I think 7-13, who cares? So use promo code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off your first purchase. That link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. We appreciate Game Time sponsoring us here at the Cowboys Report. From Protect the Sun 1, Tom, I trust Dan Snyder at a Hooters more than this front office. We're now using Dan Snyder as a positive comparison for the Cowboys. The vibes are bad. The vibes are bad. We will talk CeeDee Lamb some on today's show. Do you think the Cowboys will get a deal done, i.e. a contract extension, with Lamb before training camp? B for before / the start of it. A for after. It would be nice to do it before, and just it'd be nice to have one big contract in the offseason kind of get squared away, right? You have the funds available. It'll actually save you salary cap space to do so. And knowing this team, they will then roll it over because they're so anxious about their cap in 2025 when there's really no reason to be with the way they're set up. Before, B for before, A for after. I kind of think that if I knew when Justin Jefferson got paid, it'd be helpful. Because both guys want to wait. Both guys don't want to be the first one to do it because the next guy might end up getting a little bit more. So, B for before, A for after. Brian Gutierrez says A. Grant says B. Madden says B. Fidel says B. Jerma says B. Estevan says A. Troy says B. Another A in there. Someone's saying like trade Lamb. We'll talk about that. I think that was a pretty big reach, by the way. But it's the Cowboys. They're kind of at the can't put anything past them, you know. B from Donnell. B from McDan Clay. Before is delusional for Mad Men. Again, the vibes are bad, folks. The vibes are not very good. It is opening day. Maybe better vibes for some fans out there. Who is your favorite MLB team? Think about it. Drop that for who it is. Rangers, I'm sure. Chris, you're a Braves fan, right? Vibes are good for Atlanta, right?
Vibes are great, except for today because
rained
again,
out.
the Phillies, you rain out at the Phillies. It's
pretty
once
funny.
a series.
Pretty funny. Astros, Rangers, Braves, Yankees, Cardinals, Rangers, Yankees, Orioles, Rangers, Red Sox, Yankees, Rangers, another Yankees, Phillies, Braves, Rangers again in there. Rangers, Yankees, or Marlins, Braves again. Ironically, the Phillies, Rangers in there. Cubs, Yankees. You got a wide cast of different options. Reds and Yankees. Mad Marks is typical Dallas and Yankees fan here. Cardinals, Red Sox, White Sox, A's, none. Ecuador man says, what about yours? Reds for me. I'm from Cincinnati originally.
I don't know what's worse, being a Dallas Cowboys fan and never getting back, or going far in the playoffs, that is, or being a Yankees fan and always losing in the ALCS.
Thankfully, I'm not a Yankees fan, so I'm going to clear there. I see the Savannah Bananas in the comments section. Reds for me because they also don't win anything since the 90s. Yankees, Astros, Dodgers, Braves, Cardinals, Rockies, maybe. None for I forget which one was in there. Dodgers, Vikings. Well, that's MLB unless I'm missing something on that one. I mean, Twins? I don't know. And maybe there's a minor league team. Who knows? I did specify MLB though. All right. The pin poll today with a very nice 69% of the vote coming in no. Have the Cowboys handled the Dak contract properly? The point I have made, and I will attempt to continue to make with different supporting arguments, is it's a resounding no. And that goes for whichever side of that debate you're on. If you think Dak Prescott is the guy, then you want that deal done already. It shouldn't continue to linger, and it's actually limiting your ability to make your team better right now with their own self-inflicted choices. If you are not a Dak guy, then you don't want him here anyway, and why is he still here? So either way, it's a no. That they haven't. We made this point going in the offseason. I just wanted a decision. I wanted a decision, whatever path that was. I could break it down, explain the pros, the cons, the upsides, the downsides, and have a potential future to be excited about, even if the short term wasn't great. But it's not what they've done. They've done nothing. They've just kind of sat around not doing anything. And then it's not good business strategy. Frankly, it's bad business strategy as far as I'm concerned. And it's going to negatively impact this team moving forward. Of that, I have no doubts about that, because the best cases for all the sides involved actually aren't good long term. What is good long term? Dwayne Jackson, $100 super chat. Thank you, Dwayne. It's beer bong time here on the Cowboys Report. In regards to CeeDee and Micah extensions, do you think they see how they are seeing the Jones mishandle the Dak extension? Do you think their agents are advising to have second thoughts on signing one? With a dysfunctional franchise, where can he go to a stable team? So I don't think it's... Look, the general lack of commitment, not just to the quarterback, but to coaches and other players and more, that vibe is felt. And it's not a positive one to have felt. I don't think it's a, man, maybe they don't want to sign the extension. It's that they're not going to take the first offer. The Cowboys have a vibe's not the right word for it. What's what I'm looking for, Chris? It's to have a general thought of feeling towards something, a general characteristic, something like that. Someone else tell me what the word I'm looking for is. Of not attitude, but referring to them. Anyway, they have the vibe of a team that will eventually cave on a contract. They don't get along that great with agents. Stephen Jones has rubbed some people the wrong way, which is an issue, not just for the Todd France thing, or not just a couple agents here and there. They did it with Tank Lawrence agent too, until Tank said, screw it, let's get this done. They have the vibe of a team that doesn't handle contract talks very well, and if you just wait them out, eventually they will still cave. So it's contentious negotiations that the players eventually end up winning, or at least the agents of the players eventually end up winning. Preconceived notion is close to it. There's a word for it. I'm just too dumb to think of it at the moment. That's where they're at. Now I will say, Stephen Jones is not the most well-regarded in the agent world. And not because he does a hard bargain, but he just don't get along with him, which is partially a Stephen thing. Not just with Todd France, but with athletes first as well. By the way, CeeDee Lamb is repped. It's an issue. All right, bottoms up here.
Here we go. Everybody spam DJ
one of
in
two.
the chat. Dwayne Jackson always coming in big for us here on the Cowboys Report.
There we go. And one more. Omaha says, can't afford to keep Dak Parsons and not have the rest of the team be scrubs from the local junior college. See, it's just not true, though. I'm sorry, it's just not true. It's expensive. Yes. It is harder to build a full-out roster when you're paying 3 high-paid players, but you can look around the league and see all the other teams that are doing the exact same thing. Yes, the Chiefs did not pay Tyreek Hill. No, but they did pay Chris Jones. They spent $80 million on a tackle. They paid Patrick Mahomes. They've spent money at other positions too. It's not very doable, actually. Look how much money the Browns have spent. Like, it is doable. It's easier to win with that rookie contract scale, but when the salary cap is, like, let me put it to you this way, for math purposes. When you pay Dak $40 million, you can give him 60 plus right now. And relative to the salary cap at the time, it's a 1% raise. When, by the way, you've been rolling over plenty of money each year, not actually spending the way that you could have. It's very doable. Very doable. So, Dwayne, second one for you, my friend. All right, there we go. Thank you, Dwayne. He's got another super chat. There's going to be a lot of Dwayne Jacksons on that star. There you go. What are your thoughts on the new kickoff rule? I actually am looking forward to it. I think I kind of think Bones Fossil are going to be in his mad scientist phase, cooking some fun stuff up there. I think vision might be a bit more important than straight explosiveness. Although I think it's going to. We're making the kickoff great again. I think this is a much better solution than doing nothing. That's not, running it back or ending it. I didn't think was going to be a great idea. So I'm curious how it all plays out, but I am excited to see how it does so. Now, if you trust me more than you do the Jones boys, then like today's show. So this is a very low bar to hit, actually. It's a very low bar as far as I'm concerned. It's kind of like, the best of a bad situation or whatever. So, if you trust me more than the Jones boys, go ahead and like today's video. Here's what's coming up on today's show. We've got Cowboys news and rumors. We'll go to the Ecuador man super chat before we get into the cut too. Dak Prescott contract drama. A mailbag. Get your questions in via hashtag Cowboys or Super Chat. And an ESPN mock draft. We've got Cowboys picks focused on that one, the 7-round ESPN mock draft. Ecuador man AOG says Dak couldn't win making 40. How's he getting 60? So, again, I think we're kind of conflating a little bit playoffs versus, regular season. Since 2021, they have the third most wins. So that's a lot of wins, by the way. In general, and you're right, I totally get the complete anger at the lack of playoff success. Totally fair, totally justified. It's annoying. It's also not just one thing, one team, one player. Now, and I think Ecuador would prefer this, and this is a plan, which is what I asked for, is a plan. Tear it down and kind of rebuild, because it's not just one thing. It's multiple things you're missing at this stage. And a big factor in that is this front office's lack of willingness to go forward and be aggressive. Like, here's the path that I'm worried about. They just make the exact same mistake they did with the Romo-Dak era. They did not spend when Dak was cheap. They used there's a couple $1 million left over from Romo that really wasn't a big factor at all. And like, no, we can't do it. They don't spend. The benefits of having the rookie quarterback contract, they don't actually take advantage of it. Like, they're not going to go out and sign a really good defensive tackle in free agency. They're not going to go out and sign a good corner. They're not going to drop a 2-year, $25 million deal on an impact receiver, impact safety. That's not how they're going to operate. If they did, I'd be very intrigued by that. But that's the downside is very real and not a fun place to be in for most teams. For Mark, I don't mind them thinking Dak has proved himself before they dedicate huge money. My issue is if they say they are all in, they should re-sign him in free agents. It's fine too. I would argue it's been 8 years. You know what you have in him. You know you have the top 10 quarterback. It's a question of, hey, is this team willing and able to be built the way it needs to be around Dak Prescott? When they're going to say they're all in and then not do anything, the willingness part makes me go, okay, no, it's not. So then, this idea of doing more with less isn't how 31 other NFL teams operate. So what's the point? Like we know how this is going to end. It's going to end with a 10-win season, playoffs chance. Maybe the supporting cast and Dak start better, and it's not like everything goes bad again. And if not, you're actually in a very precarious spot next year. Your head coach is going to be gone. Your quarterback, if he's not re-signed, by the end of the year, he's going to be like, I'm a month away from free agency. Like, you guys don't respect me. You don't act like you care about me, so I'm going to test the market, and then he's gone. Or you're making him even more highly paid than he would have been right now. And then you will be getting maxed out on the contract. It's just not a good strategy. Ecuador man says totally blowing it up for over 4 for love of God. This is a plan. Like that's all I want at this stage. The bar is so low for me with the Cowboys. I'm just asking them to have a plan. I would have either been aggressive in a 3 to 5 year window, whatever number you want to call it, or I would have blown it up. And they seem to want to be playing to not be bad. And eventually, they will be bad. And I don't like that path moving forward. We'll get to the entirety of today's live show, getting started right now. Coming up on today's show, we'll break down some Cowboys rumors. If you haven't already, though, please make sure you guys are subscribed. We're about 200 plus subs behind the Commanders Report, those communists over there in Washington. Hit that sub button for more free Cowboys videos. Help us catch them before the end of the month. We will always talk about what people are talking about here on the Cowboys Report, even if that idea isn't the most realistic or feasible, because you got to call people out sometimes. The 33rd team, which fancies themselves as a bunch of former execs, NFL GMs, etc., well, they say the Dallas Cowboys are among the best trade fits for Panthers defensive tackle Derrick Brown. It's Arizona, it's Houston, it's the Dallas Cowboys as the 3 teams that make the most sense for Derrick Brown. So first off, this was framed on their social medias. The Cowboys are the most likely team to end up with Derrick Brown. To be clear, no they ain't, and no he ain't. It's just not true. We know better. We know better. First off, here's what the 33rd team argued. The Dallas Cowboys haven't made many moves in free agency, but could use some run defense help, even after using a first-round pick on Mozzie Smith last season. With new deals coming for Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, the Cowboys might not be eager to bring another expensive second contract. However, signing Brown to an extension early could save money long-term, and Dallas ranked 29th in success rate against the run in 2023. Though most of that is true. I would love to get Derrick Brown on this team. I think that helps you, not just against the run. He can generate some pocket push for you as well, and not just be a limited 2-down player. But this is the least on-brand move possible for the Dallas Cowboys. They're going to throw money at a big defensive lineman that they clearly just refuse to spend money right now. They would trade away a premium asset, might be a first-round pick, frankly, in the process. Nothing about the way the Cowboys are currently being run should ever make you think, you know what, they could totally do that. Come on. Be better. No better than that, guys. So do you trust this Dallas Cowboys front office? Y for yes, N for no. It's the pinned comment on today's video. So if that ad happens to come here on YouTube, you should know what the deal is by now. Take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Y for yes, N for no. Update, kind of the second maybe one we've had so far. The Carolina Panthers have reached out to Stephon Gilmore about a potential reunion. And given all the previous comments, made by Stephen Jones, kind of saying past tense, we loved what Gilmore did. We wish him the best of luck. Those previous comments make me think that you're not going to see Stephon Gilmore back with the Dallas Cowboys. Plus, it seems like their dollars to spend is no more than $3 million on a player. So I suspect he'll end up getting more. By the way, you guys see what Stephon Gilmore liked on social media? Maybe a bit grainy to see. It's tweets. It says the Rams made the Super Bowl and then rebuilt, and then everyone said they were cooked and they made the playoffs. And it's amazing how good front office and coaching staff can figure it out and still be aggressive. Yeah, Gilmore liking a tweet that is profoundly anti-Cowboys front office. That's not good, guys. The vibes are bad right now. The vibes are not good around this team. You have the report from the Combine about people in the in the organization going, they don't like the lack of commitment being made by the front office. And it's felt. It's felt by us. It's felt by the players. It's felt by the coaching staff. Now, the vast majority of them will be the good soldier and walk up there, and Mike will say, don't feel bad for me. I'm fine. I'm where my feet are planted. All great answers. The vibes are not good around this Cowboys team. And I don't think any of us can blame the people who are maybe a bit unhappy with how things are currently going. It's never a good sign when one of your veteran leaders on the way out is liking tweets about how badly the front office is run. Don't like that. Now, what I do like is Game Time. They have made today's show possible. They take the guesswork out of buying tickets to your next big sporting event. It is the lowest price guaranteed, thanks to Game Time. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Opening day is here. You're watching the Cowboys Report, so you're obviously not going to go to that game. There are other Rangers games you can go to. Several of them are far cheaper. Always keep an eye out for the zone deals, by the way. You pick the section, Game Time picks the seats for big-time savings in the process. They'll also give you $20 off your first purchase when you download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. That's promo code CHATSPORTS, ChatSports, for $20 off. Terms do apply, but again, Game Time doesn't just have sports like NBA and MLB, and they got concerts, they got theater, they got comedy shows as well. Producer Chris is a big fan of that. So if you haven't already, check out Game Time. Go to GameTime.co and use promo code ChatSports. The link and the code will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. Let's go to Bleacher Report's latest idea. Jamal Adams to the Cowboys. You knew this was going to happen again, right? And as long as he's unsigned, it's going to keep happening. Advocating maybe he could be a safety linebacker hybrid for you. I got thoughts on that. Stay tuned. First, I will allow Bleacher Report to explain themselves. There could also be some appeal from the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas and other NFL teams have run a lot of three safety looks in recent seasons, and while the addition of veteran Eric Kendricks brought some badly needed stability at linebacker, there's not much certainty behind him. Adams could be an interesting add in a hybrid role, and it helps satiate a fan base that has groused of late about the lack of splash addition in free agency this year. First off, stop with all the big words. I don't know what they mean, and I'm going to take them as a sign of disrespect. Secondly, let's not act like Adams is a splash move that will make us all feel better. Come on. This is not 2028 or 2018, 2019. This is 2024. We know what Adams is at this stage. He's not the same guy. I got more thoughts on this. But would you sign Jamal Adams? S for sign, P for pass. Safe space to vote in the comments section. My big issue is this. Do I need another safety linebacker hybrid? I have guys who do that already, right? DeMarvion Overshown is a safety turned linebacker. I think I'm excited about him playing this year. You want to use multi-safety looks. Cool, I get it. It's literally what Marquise Bell was last year. And frankly, Bell was better last year than Jamal Adams was. I got Malik Hooker. I got Donovan Wilson, Bell, Wanye Thomas, Israel Mukuamu. If I'm adding a safety, I wanted an intelligent backfield player, not blitz boy. Injuries are a real issue for Jamal Adams, by the way. And again, if the whole plan is to blitz him, I got guys who can do that, which I think you should blitz him more. Why? It's just connecting the big name to the Cowboys that always kind of rubs me the wrong way. The injuries alone are a very valid concern. The Jamal Adams archetype, I have that guy on my roster. Younger, cheaper, and probably better as well. Let's talk CeeDee Lamb extension here. Jerry Jones speaking again about the Lamb extension status and borderline rambling and making some nonsensical comments as, he is often primed to do. I don't think anything Jerry said should really change your mind on how you feel about paying Lamb, whatever. So do you think a deal with Lamb will get done before training camp? B for before, A for after. Go vote for me in the comment section right now. Here's what Jerry Jones said about Lamb and the contract. He's out there and he's more valuable than anybody else. But that valuable, to have to give up 4 or 5 players to have him, you have to get that reconciled. That's what I'm trying to say. It's a lot quicker and easier said than done. They're doing it again. This is the exact same built-in BS excuse that I'm sick and tired of hearing from this organization. There's only so much pie to go around. If we pay CeeDee Lamb, we're losing 5 players. No, you're not. You're just not. You know what you're doing? You're not re-signing Dalton Schultz. Instead, you're drafting a different player to help fill out the roster. That's how every NFL team operates. The rest of them aren't crying about having to pay one of the premier receivers in the NFL. I'm tired of that rhetoric from the Cowboys. I'm sick of it. Jerry also had this to say. Whoever has CeeDee, and I hope it's us, they're going to use him. You have to. You just have to get the kind of mileage out of him. What has he shown us? That he's capable of carrying that load. We've got to have focus. I have no idea what the focus part means. You got to get him the ball? Sure. Also, what the hell do you mean you hope it's you? He's your player. What do you mean we hope we can get him? What is he, a draft pick? Come on. Be serious, Jerry. Be serious, Cowboys. This is not that hard. There will be sticker shock. The wide receiver market is going to get reset again, as it consistently does, because the salary cap goes up and all pros get paid. The top-end mark guys, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, it's a bit wonky. Some of those deals are kind of fake, but at least the back-end money of it is a little bit fake. But you can also fake the money, too, if you really need to, by the way. You can backload that contract, too. You can make the 5th year of the contract be worth $55 million and none of it guaranteed, and structure it properly. So get it done, Dallas. If we get to week 1 and there's no CeeDee Lamb contract done, I'm going to be even more upset than I am now, if that is even possible. $5 super chat from Zeno saying, since we're having a lot of pain in the Cowboys organization, let's hear everyone's most painful playoff loss. Mine is the dead catch. Mine is the Dez no catch, which he did catch it. Dez did catch it. For some people, that is the DeMarco Murray fumble playoff game. The one that hurts me the most is it's the Dez one's up there, of course. That Romo botch snap. The ball was slippery. We saw it. They then changed the rules later. Shocking how that tends to happen, right? And if Martin Gramatica just steps forward, Hamlin does not catch Romo from behind, then it's all fine and dandy. That one hurt. Because that team was, that team was good. That team was really good. That one hurt. That one hurt. I see the 1994 NFC Championship game. See, I don't remember that one. I'm not old enough for that. What else I got in there? And several of the Romo fumble snap games as well. Uncle Shay's burner. The C situation sounds like the Amari Cooper situation. History does repeat after all. That line about, you got to get the most out of him, that's straight from the Amari Cooper stuff. Difference there is they haven't paid him, and I think they feel better. They let the Amari thing get personal. They were mad that he wasn't vaccinated. They thought that meant he wasn't a team player, and they were mad that he wasn't practicing a ton. By the way, the Browns are considering extending Amari Cooper. So, that's how things are going there. It's just frustrating as all get out for me. Now, we are less than a month away, actually, I guess about a month in terms of like weeks, from the NFL draft. Who do you want the Cowboys to draft in round 1? Sound off for me in the comments section of today's show. And I'll give some shout-outs if you have people in mind. As we got another beer bong for Dwayne. Let's go. We'll do that in a minute here. I see Amarius Mims, like the ESPN mock draft, my friend. We get the beer bong out again. Only opening I'm doing is of these beers. Dwayne Jackson, do you think if Jerry Jones' idea of implementing the salary cap back in 1994, back then if the owners said no, would the NFL have salary now? How would there be some sort of a hybrid cap system? Teams have to spend allocated money, rollover money next season. Well, that is, to an extent, how it's set up. It's just that there is a minimum you have to spend over a 3-year period, which the Cowboys are always near the bottom of that number, by the way. Pretty consistently at or near the bottom of it, which is always interesting to me. Jerry was a big fan of the salary cap because he is a big fan of the parity, of the shield. He wants to maximize those things, even though he could have just spent all the money on his own team if he wanted to. Or maybe, you know what, maybe deep down, maybe he just didn't want to spend the amount of money he had to. Throwing that one out there. I think eventually they would have had a salary cap set up because it's a great way to keep players' salaries down. Dwayne, cheers to you, my friend. Another beer bong, third of the day. Let's go.
If you guys haven't already, go ahead and like today's live show for us. Helps other people get in here, helps spread the word to more Cowboys fans.
Woo! Give Dwayne some more entries into our Drew Pearson mini helmet giveaway here. Oh, Dwayne's got a lot of them. Tell you what, things you love to see. All right, Justin M. coming through. The Cowboys can draft BPA because they literally need every position. And is there any real chance Sweat the DT is there in round 2? So it's funny. I am going to send out a very similar tweet on this. I was thinking the exact same thing last night. Like, big brain. Why sign players to fill needs and go BPA when you cannot sign players and still go BPA because you have all the needs? I was trying to figure out what exact right way to phrase that for maximum sadness and pain and funniness. But Justin's not wrong. Like, maybe not linebacker. But even then, I still kind of need one. I think there is a chance Sweat is there in round 2. I think he probably goes mid-round 2. Weird things happen. And we don't know about many of the medicals out there. That's always a red flag that we don't often find out about. Like, I remember last year, we're live, why is Darnell Washington not there? I'm like, medical stuff popped up, which we didn't really know about till, the day 2, when eventually it gets reported on. So, and there are other times that people don't know what's going on. I remember there was a great story from Brian Broaddus, player agent called him and was like, or maybe it was Bobby Bell, one of the two was like, why, what's going on? I don't understand why we guys falling. And he's like, yeah, dude, he flunked medically. He's like, no one told us. It's like the players don't even know sometimes that they got medical issues. So it's just kind of crazy. But yeah, chance Sweat's there in round 2. Chris B, the way the offseason's going, they're going to reach in round 1. It's my concern that they got to get that left tackle. The tackles all go, and they go, screw it, we'll take somebody. It's my worry. When they let the front office do things, as in these scouts, things tend to go pretty well. Mark, Dak being top 10 means nothing. His arm scares no one. It's not the yard he gets. It's who he is beating, and he generally does not do well versus better teams with better Ds. This year's an example of that. I think being top 10 does matter. The arm is not a Josh Allen arm. It's not how he wins. Dak typically wins, because of accuracy, despite what some people might try to argue. And he is one of the better pre-snap quarterbacks in football in terms of getting everything set up correctly. The arm strength it's average, above average, maybe just outside top 10, but it's not a Mahomes, it's not an Allen, howitzer attached to that right shoulder. And in general, yeah, you're right. They don't beat the better football teams. I would argue that there's maybe a couple players on this team who tend to perform at their highest against the better teams. And that's probably a cultural coaching issue as well. Also, that is how most quarterbacks are. If you only start counting above 500 teams and as the win-loss stuff, outside of like 3 or 4 guys that are basically your Hall of Famers, everyone's numbers drop off. It's kind of how it works for the non-Mahomes freakazoid guy. So that's why I don't put Dak in the top 5 of quarterback conversations. Like if we're ranking independent of like one individual year. That's why he's not in the top 5 for me. It's hard to find that guy though too. For Mark, I think JJ's plan to see if Trevor pans out. Problem is, if Trevor is almost as good and JJ's a ton of money, he won't spend on any one clown. I think he means Trey Lance here, by the way, and not like Trevor Lawrence. He's 100% right on the back end there. Even if Trey Lance is good, they're not going to spend. They don't. We've got decades of the data size saying, they're not really going to spend in free agency. A decade plus. They're just not going to. And that's frustrating to me because it caps your top-end ceiling. It caps it. Chris B., I'll be honest, I'm tired and frankly over the whole Dak contract debate. If they sign him, cool. If not, can't wait to watch the clown show figure it out. Kind of where I'm at, too. I just want a decision. One way or the other. Make up your minds. And then go from there. I don't think there's a good, cohesive plan from your organization. That's a bad thing. Dwayne Jackson, $5. Why did the Cowboys have the worst luck with Michigan draft picks? They haven't missed on all of them. Jordan Lewis on like his 3rd or 4th contract. That's really good. Lewis has been a great pick for the Cowboys. We'll see about Mozzie. They whiffed on Taco. I think that was a player miss. And I think the Luke Schoonmaker piss was a organizational mistake. It wouldn't even matter about the Michigan angle. They could have drafted Brenton Strange if he was still there. That pick was capped as being tight end 2 with what Jake Ferguson became immediately. Backup tight end in round 2 is not a good draft pick investment, regardless of the position. That's my issue. As a reminder, the Super Chat menu, if you choose to donate, thank you. Some goodies if you do some of the bigger numbers. $10 entered into the signed Drew Pearson mini helmet entry. $50, you got 3 entries today. Or 3 stickers on the beer bong for my guy Dwayne Jackson. And then I'll chug a beer bong or 2 beer bongs or whatever it is out of it. The deal of the day is $20, and I will do 10 push-ups because it's not like I've been working out during draft season anyway, so that's important to consider. Now, we do have an Instagram account at Cowboys Report IG. The goal is 1,000 by the start of the NFL draft. I think that's doable, but we are getting up against the gun a little bit from that perspective. So if you haven't already, go follow us on Instagram at Cowboys Report IG. We'll post some more short-form clips over there. Today's show, we will break down pretty much everything you need to know about what the hell the Cowboys are doing with the Dak Prescott situation, the contract, the short-term, the long-term, etc. That includes, but is not limited to, the current status, the actual contract details, as Adam Schefter spreads misinformation on social media. If the trading him now makes sense for Dallas, if they should draft a quarterback this year, what the Dak Prescott replacements could look like. This will be a longer video, but I think it does explain both sides, the pros and cons, fairly well. So help us out by sharing today's video. I think that will help inform others. And oh, by the way, whatever side you're on, I think you should be frustrated with how the Cowboys have operated so far. So the current status amid the old conflicting report side of it. Maybe a deal gets done, but the vibes are not very good at this moment. As we broke down on Tuesday, this was the news report. It was a breaking news caption from Ian Rappaport. The Cowboys and Dak have a mutual understanding of his contract situation. Sources say, with no offers from Dallas despite him being in a contract year. no indication a deal is coming. Now, other Cowboys reporters have said, no, wait a minute. They have not closed the door altogether, but it's very clear they're not doing a deal right now. Maybe they revisit later. Here's what Josina Anderson reported. Now, I put this in a quote as opposed to the Twitter because it's just too long. Regarding the Cowboys and Dak Prescott, the team does intend to work out a contract for their 3-time Pro Bowl QB and has not closed off potential to consummate a deal for him this year. Although there's currently no offer or imminent talks, the team is not presently charting a path to let Prescott go to free agency, despite some chatter to the contrary. Prescott's entire contract history with the Cowboys, from his rookie deal, tagging extension restructures, are all macro indicators of his eventual goal. There are reports out there that the Cowboys actually do want to pay Dak Prescott, but not right now, later, maybe in August, maybe after the year ends. This would play into the Cowboys refuse to spend any more cash of note right now, but next year, when there's like no cash spending being spent at the moment, well, then maybe then they'll do that big old signing bonus deal for a quarterback, which frankly is really the overarching complaint I have right now with this organization. However you look at this, from a pro-Dak or an anti-Dak angle, the Cowboys have done a bad job and a borderline organizational failure job of this quarterback contract. When this dates back to the last time, so they've learned from their mistakes. If you are pro-Dak, if you believe that they can win a championship with him, the deal should have been done already. They shouldn't have been dragging their feet because waiting only costs you more in the end. And if you are anti-Dak, you don't think he's the guy, then why is he still here? They should have moved on already. They should have started the rebuild, gotten somebody else in there. Instead, they've done nothing. So my answer to the pinned comment here of have the Cowboys handled that contract properly is no. They have not done this right. And they're making the exact same mistakes they did last time. What do you think? It's the pinned comment on today's video. Y for yes, N for no. Now, I know that Adam Schefter went on the Pat McAfee show and said the Cowboys owe $90 million in dead money in 2025. No, they do not. Don't really know what Adam got from that one. I think he just looked at the contract for like the original contract dead money, which was 90, but that was 3 years ago. So no. Here is how the Dak contract actually breaks up. His cap hit this year is $55 million, a self-imposed, laughably high cap hit, with an additional $40 million in dead money in 2025 if he's not even on the roster. So some have suggested the Cowboys should trade Dak Prescott instead of waiting. Now, obviously, there is a no-trade clause for Dak Prescott. I think there are ways you can get him to agree to waive that no-trade clause, but it's still at your detriment. If the plan in the end isn't to keep him, which you should know by now what your plan is, then yeah, you should trade him. But you know what? You kind of screwed yourself with your timing already. The ideal window was a week after you lost in the postseason. You should have known by then what your plan was going to be. If you're now waiting till March, you've cut out significant options. The Falcons are no longer going to be in the market. The Steelers are not going to be in the market. And other teams that might have been interested, well, now they've spent their money. They're kind of causing issues from that perspective. And oh, by the way, Dak has the leverage here still with his no trade clause. You know, is Dak going to want to say, yes, trade me to a team? Also, let's make them spend that first-round pick, that second-round pick on trading for me, and then not let me get another good player on my roster? The leverage, once again, is in Dak's hands. And a year away from free agency, he could just say, you know what, no, I don't want to do that. Or his agent might say it for him. In fact, I actually have a hot take here. If you're out on Dak, it doesn't matter what you get back for him. Because you're not going to maximize your return on your investment, especially at this stage. So if you really don't want him, trade him. Or even just cut him. And say, you know what, we screwed up. We're going to rebuild. We're going to start the rebuild properly. Because as we'll get into, we know how this ends. If the Cowboys say, let's give it one more year and ask the top 10 but not Hall of Fame quarterback to do more with less, it's not going to work. That's probably a hot take for many, but I'm not worried about 2024 at that point. I'm worried about 2025 and beyond. I'll explain why here in a little bit, but today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. You pick 2 to 6 player stat projections, more than or less than. On the stat projections, I always advise the flex play. You know? That way you get 2 out of 3 right, 3 out of 4 right. You can get one of your picks wrong and still come out on top on Prize Picks. Obviously, they got MLB going on right now. You got some March Madness Prize Picks as well, and NFL season-long picks as well. Now, in general, the season-long Prize Picks take the more than, as long as guys are healthy. The projections kind of already factor in the injury risk. That's why it's all lower than what they did last year. So, Patrick Mahomes, passing yards, Dak passing yards, Lamb touchdowns, Micah sacks. Give me the more than on all of those. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. The link's in the comments section and the description of today's show. Back to the hot take of mine. I think we know how the 2024 year is probably going to unfold, right? Dak's going to play at a top 10 level. The team will come up short, whether that's, they miss the playoffs by a half game, or they get to the postseason and, they don't pull it all together and they lose again in frustratingly heartbreaking, annoying, makes us all angry fashion. And then you know what happens. If there is no deal done by then, you have no power to keep him. And you're kind of banking on the idea that Dak goes, you know what, I just want to be a Cowboy still. After all the crap I've put up with as I've watched this organization not support me at times and allow different leaks to get in there, he says, you know what, I'm going to stay anyway. Or you lose him for a third-round comp pick. Your trade or cut savings, if you move on now, over 2 years, whether it's pre-June 1st or post-June 1st, is about $29 million. So if you're going to rebuild no matter what, the end result here is to get that third-round comp pick back and thus not spend in free agency in order to afford that third-round comp pick is about $29 million. Who here wants to pay $29 million on your salary cap for a third-round pick? I don't want to do that, actually. I'd rather take these salary cap savings, even though they're not going to spend it. I think that's a pretty bad way to start a rebuild, which, again, the whole point I'm making, you should have made your decision already. You should have figured out if he's your guy and paid him already. And actually, and again, we can argue like, oh, well, maybe Dak wants a lot of money. He does want a lot of money, obviously. But there are multiple reports now saying they haven't had contract talks yet. So the team isn't trying to do that, right? That's a bad sign. It's the team's job to do that. This is the same team that said they weren't making calls to free agents. They were letting player agents call them. What are we doing out here, guys? Now, I'm not done. We'll look ahead to 2025 and beyond here in a moment. We will have more Cowboys YouTube videos for you here every single day, oftentimes multiple times per day. So do not miss out. Hit that sub button right now, youtube.com/@CowboysTV. Now, another idea I've seen floated out there is to simply draft a quarterback this year and use him as leverage to get a Dak Prescott deal done. Here's what Mike Tannenbaum said about the Cowboys drafting a QB. The only way you'll have meaningful leverage with Prescott, like they did with Tony Romo, is to go draft Spencer Rattler in the second or third round and develop the next guy. Until you have a meaningful replacement, Prescott has unlimited leverage because he's a winning NFL quarterback. So to be clear, the proposed plan here is to just piss away a second or third round pick to save a few $1 million. Really? That's the plan? Is to just waste it and not use it to save, what, maybe $5 million? It's a far cry from our previous ideas. Every word Tannenbaum said there was wrong. It's not even like the potential draft pick you'd be wasting. It's like, no, you're literally just like going to take a guy that you hope you never, ever, ever have to play. The leverage does not come from the Cowboys not having a backup. The leverage comes from Dak being less than 12 months away from unrestricted free agency and NFL teams being desperate to find that caliber of quarterback play. Other teams would love a top 10 quarterback. Assuming Dak stays healthy, which I think is a bigger assumption than some people would like to admit, that's my biggest concern, frankly, we will have never seen a quarterback at his age, at his assumed health, at that level of play, hit the open market. We've seen better quarterbacks, Hall of Fame quarterbacks hit that market, coming off massive injury, coming off down years, coming off significant age concerns. Never seen that happen before. The market could get crazy, and you have no control to stop him. You can't tag him. The Romo comp, by the way, makes 0 sense. That's not what happened. The Romo could have left. It's that he decided to retire, and Jerry convinced him somehow because it's like his extra kid somehow. And there were medical issues, of course, with Tony Romo as well. Back to Dak Prescott. We'll talk placements in a minute. Do you want Dak as the Cowboys quarterback? 1 for yes, 0 for no. Sound off in the comments. Now, I think the most likely outcome, the reality is the Cowboys are going to have Dak Prescott as the quarterback this season. Like that's what they don't want to be bad, so they're going to try to avoid it. So who's the next quarterback there? Well, the internal guy would probably be Trey Lance. Now, of note, Lance hasn't played football very much in the NFL or college or even high school to an extent, and he hasn't been very good when he's played, but there is upside. He's about as old as some of the other draft picks we'll get to here in a moment, but he's also a free agent. Let's talk about not having leverage, because you are not going to pick up the fifth-year option. So Lance is the internal option. I'll mention some of the realistic draft picks. The big four guys, or the big three plus McCarthy, they're not going to be there. It's not realistic. Don't even bother. Bo Nix and Michael Penix might get there. I don't love those guys as franchise options. There's things that intrigue me, sure. They're about the same age as Trey Lance is. Nix played in a fake offense at Oregon. Penix's, under pressure stuff and injury concerns terrify me. Spencer Rattler is a trap. Don't fall for it. Jordan Travis, Michael Pratt scream backup. Joe Milton has the strongest arm in football. Lord knows where it's going to go. He's Tyree Jackson 2.0. And hey, by the way, in this scenario, you will have a new head coach, right? So what does your new head coach want? You're going to spend a top 75 pick, top 80 pick on a quarterback, and then the new guy says, nah, I actually don't want him at all? Again, the lack of a plan continues to rear its ugly head in this conversation. So who do you want? Go a lot of different routes here. As the Cowboys quarterback in 2025. Sound off for me in the comments section. Some potential free agent replacements. Russell Wilson and Justin Fields are Steelers quarterbacks. The, of course, concern here is if one of those guys play well, they're probably not going to be free agents. Tua and Goff, I think, get new deals, by the way, from their teams. If not, Dak might be that team's quarterback. And for the memes, I'm putting Andy Dalton on here because it's funny. Trade replacements. I'm sure someone will ask about Kyler Murray at some point because that actually terrifies me, by the way. Also, he's owed $32 million. You want to spend $70 million on a quarterback next year? That's what you're asking to do with the dead money still. Geno is actually not a bad bridge quarterback option. By the way, those teams could also go after Dak potentially. If Bryce Young's bad, you could try to use, do the bust draft pick, try it out in Dallas again. Or you draft somebody. Some 2025 is probably the most likely outcome, right? Carson Beck, Quinn Ewers. We'll come back to Shedeur Sanders. I know how this is going to go. Noah Fafita actually played pretty well for Arizona. Is Cam Ward going to be good enough now transferring to Miami? Riley Leonard. I honestly don't know if any of these guys are going to be top 5 picks next year. there are very real concerns where you're banking on massive breakout, fixing this big issue in 2024. Like Shedeur Sanders, right? It's Deion's kid. I am terrified of the circus angle that could come along with this here, whatever. There are things I like about him. I do not buy this Mel Kiper ESPN guaranteed top 5 pick. That's not how he is. I like him, though. I do. There's a lot of things to like. Here's the issue with this, right? Let's assume we go with the, Dak's back for one more year. They win 9-10 games. They're picking in the early 20s again. If one of those guys is so good, it's like, yeah, this is the next franchise quarterback. How are you going to get him? How do you plan on getting in the top 5, top 10 to draft that quarterback? If you think they're so good, they're going to be gone, right? So then how are you getting up there? You're getting a bunch of draft assets to go do it? And oh, by the way, we always love quarterbacks in the draft. It is an inexact science. Look at the numbers here. I ran these myself. Since 2013 through then, up until that Andrew Luck era, right after that, here are the just starting quarterback caliber hit rates. I'm defining this as like not even as good as Dak. Like I'm counting 2 over the top. I didn't count Baker because he's bounced around too much there, so call it a half point each. I'm counting Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo-esque quarterbacks in the day 2 range. You got just over of a 35, 36% chance of taking that top 5, top 15 quarterback and going, yeah, this is it. Your other day 2 picks are 37% chance. Day 3, you got a 13% chance. That's like Jalen Hurts is the best example. Day 3, it's Brock Purdy and Dak Prescott. By the way, in that time frame, there has been one Super Bowl winning quarterback. My point here is that it's hard. You have a top 10 quarterback. It hasn't been good enough. The downside is it ends up being really bad. If you want to take that risk, okay, that's fine. It's a plan. I get it. But their path for Dallas has been terrible. It has been a bad plan, whichever side of this Dak debate you're on. And for a team that once wanted to draft Pax Lynch and Connor Cook, that's concerning for me as they potentially move forward. Or they pay him in August or next year and pay him even more than it would have been previously. And at that point, why were you waiting in the first place? It's a resounding no for me. Like Tori says, looks like they're trying to tank. That's my point. They're not tanking well. They're not. If they were tanking well, he wouldn't be here. And they plan on sucking. They're not going to suck. Like, he's overrated, he sucks. But he doesn't. He's not, guys. We can move the goalposts all we want, but I think I'd take Lamar Jackson over Dak Prescott. I think most of us would. Lamar's been even worse in the playoffs than Dak Prescott has been. Seriously, go look at the numbers. He's bad. You don't have Mahomes. That makes it hard on you. It's even harder to find Mahomes. That's a concern for me. We're right that this team and the quarterback has not played well against better teams. That's everybody, unless Mahomes. When it's everything that goes poorly, guys, not just one. I honestly wish it was like the Rams. It's okay, Goff's the problem. We have everything else we need. We have the coaching staff. I don't have the coaching staff, by the way. It's not a fun place to be, I know, but they've not handled this correctly at all. It's not like King. He's throwing high school interceptions. Guys, he has a historically great interception percentage. Historically top 10. So, yes, there are things that need to be better. Absolutely. He's not blameless. But, we have to put it as relative to the rest of the NFL. Got a top 10 guy. If you want the top 5 guy, okay, cool. Then start the tank. Because you're probably only going to get that top 5 guy by tanking. And they don't want to tank. They don't want to. And my concern here, by the way, is if this they do want to pay him in August crap is true, or they want to pay him after the season ends next year, that means that this team genuinely believes and would rather pay more a year from now than just spend extra cash this year. And that's a shit way to do it in an NFL franchise. That worries me. because I can eventually change the head coach. I can change the quarterback. I can change the receiving core, the O-line, the running back, the entire roster. I can change that out in a pretty short period of time. Madman, we are not on loop. It'll say on loop right there when we eventually go there. So I guess if we do go on loop, and I'm saying that, you'll see the icon right there. Like, it's not fun. If I can't change the owner, I'm limited in the end. We'll get to a mailbag here on today's show. So 2 ways to get on there. #Cowboys or Super Chat. Ecuador Man, we'll get to his. Chris B. Mark, get to all your Super Chats here on the show. #Cowboys or Super Chat right now. This is the Super Chat menu. Drew Pearson mini helmet, $10 to enter. $50, Beer Bong Hall of Fame. I'll chug a beer bong or a beer out of the bong and then put your initials on the star, little icons as well. The deal of the day is $20. I'll do 10 push-ups to help get my fat butt into shape a little bit more. It's a mailbag here on the Cowboys Report from Wes. A super thanks, by the way, to producer Chris. We're like the Yankees who spend like Billy Bean. Very accurate, by the way. Also from Wes. There's no plan because the Jones family won't sell the team and will run the team how they see fit, which I'm sick and tired of seeing. Ever since Jimmy G said F off to Jerry, it's been a different franchise. I would agree. Also from Wes, this is about the Ezekiel Elliott, Dalvin Cook discussion we had, which I hate that idea, by the way. It says, it wouldn't surprise me. It is the Cowboys special. Yeah. I think it'd be a terrible idea. We get like 3 or 5 free agents total, outside guys. You can't burn one of them on an old veteran back who's not very good or explosive anymore. These questions and a few more to come here are via Super Thanks. If you're watching live, you know that you guys can super chat during shows. Super Thanks allows you to send in the donation when we're not live, just on any normal video. We always appreciate those that come in. That's why we lead off so many mailbags with the Super Thanks, because we want to show you guys some love and say thank you for doing so. From Michael, how about Elijah Mitchell for a next-nothing trade value with some upside? I think the injury risk reward is worth it for 1-year rental. As we get another back in the draft, Niners have a younger and more productive player in Jordan Mason to comfortably cut ties. Would Mitchell's contract be cheaper than a vet minimum to J.K. Dobbins? Now, I hadn't really thought about this idea. I do like it. For the Cowboys, especially if you don't get the guy you want in round 2 and maybe wait till round 3 or something. Mitchell's owed just over $1 million. So it's basically potato in terms of the Mitchell contract versus the vet min to J.K. Dobbins. There's not much of a difference from that perspective. So I do like that idea of looking at the Niners' depth from that perspective. From Mark Bishop. Tom, what happens if Dak has another all-pro season and the Cowboys have no power? They can't be that poorly run of a franchise, but every year we as fans keep blaming players, but the front office is the glaring issue. I would agree. The front office is the root cause of your problems. Maybe we don't talk about it enough, or the big media doesn't, because we can't change that. There's no GM to fire, you know? It's everything else you can maybe change, and that's the way the Jones boys like it, by the way. Although I think we here, not just me, but you guys in the comments, as you should, have complained plenty about that. What happens in that scenario? You have no power. You hope he stays. You can't tag him. I don't think the vibes of them making comments about interceptions, they won't admit it. They knew those interceptions weren't Dak's fault. They knew they weren't. They knew the receivers were at the wrong depth. They knew that the drops were an issue. That Michael Gallup was just not where he needed to be on routes. Noah Brown was not where he needed to be on routes. And that's why it was off. And they're still making complaints about the interception stuff. I don't think that went over very well. Now, he loves the Cowboys. I think he wants to be here. But at a certain point, the juice ain't worth the squeeze anymore. You know? That goes both ways too, as well. So do you want Dak Prescott as the Cowboys QB? Y for yes, N for no. Sound off in the comments section, the pinned comment of today's video. Mark, Colin Cowherd, Dak has won 9 games in his career when the Cowboys ran for under 100 yards. I don't agree with accuracy. I see too many throws where receivers make circus catches, balls are thrown at feet. I would always, first off, ignore the 100-yard crap. There's no better example of correlation versus causation than 100 yards or insert rushing carry number here. Do you know what happens in games in which you are winning because the quarterback played great in the first 3 quarters? They're going to run the ball late, and they're going to get to the carry and yardage figure. Like every single quarterback in NFL history is better when the rushing game gets to 100 yards because it almost always means they ran the ball a lot late. Always. Now, they do need a ground game. It would be, and I think this team does need one, because when there are games in which the quarterback is off to start, this is true for most teams to be clear as well, you'd like to be able to lean on the ground game. You know what's been very true as well? This team's averaged about 3 yards a carry in losses the past 3 seasons. It's very bad. As for the circus catch and balls, yes, there are throws that are not great. But we can go compare to the overall view of quarterbacks. He's pretty much top 10 or fringe top 10 in on-target throws at all different distances. He's accurate. That's how it is for him relative to the rest of the NFL. Is he Drew Brees? No, of course not. But he is. That's how he makes up for not having an elite arm strength and being a big runner anymore. Pretty accurate. And he's smart pre-snap. For Mark, what's frustrating is he's been surrounded by talent and had top 10 Ds, still couldn't win. Best O-line running backs first 4 years with good receivers, JJ won't spend. The best O-line running back first 4 years is not no. It's not first 4 years. First year, yes. And there has been talent, make no mistake about it. Again, folks, people get mad at me when I say it. The Romo Cowboys and the Dak Cowboys are the exact same team. Now, there are different reasons each year. You know, Dak didn't play well against the 49ers. Romo was bad against the Vikings. Remember that Vikings playoff blowout? Reminds me a lot of this Packers playoff game this past year. Romo fumbled the snap. Dez didn't catch it, even though he did. Aaron Jones found Cook along the sideline somehow, or Aaron Rodgers did. It's frustrating. You're not that far away. You haven't been for a while. And you're right. Jerry Jones won't spend. You know what every other franchise would do if they'd had the past couple years? They'd be fighting like hell to, okay, how can we squeeze the most out of this window? Where else can we spend? Cowboys go, we've hit our cash ceiling. Nope, we're done. It's very frustrating for me. The whole thing is, quarterback included. Now, today's show is made possible by Game Time. $20 off your first purchase, I should say. When you go to GameTime.co and use promo code ChatSports. You know, prices tend to drop as the events get closer, but maybe you get a bit anxious about, I'm trying to buy tickets the day before. Am I going to get screwed? Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets to your next big event. The Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Download the Game Time app, create your account, and use code ChatSports for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but create your account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. You can go to some Rangers games. I would always advise, maybe you don't go super early. Don't go opening day. Go later on. You can even find some zone deals on Game Time. That means you pick the section. Game Time picks the seats to get big savings in the process. And with the $20 off too, it actually ends up being much, much cheaper. So go to GameTime.co and use promo code ChatSports for $20 off your first purchase. That link will again be in the comments section and the description of today's show. That's GameTime.co, promo code ChatSports. Dwayne Jackson, in regards to Jerry Jones hiring and firing coaches, is there a coach out there that he really wants, but the coach he wants will not put up with his bullshit? Who would be that coach? I would say that if the coach decides he doesn't want to be with Jerry, then Jerry says, no, I don't want you first. Kind of like and this is the thing that goes for Steven as well, to be clear. Can go for I'm not breaking up with, or you're not breaking up with me, I'm dumping you first type of deal. Which kind of was what it ended up being for Jimmy, by the way. Ecuador man, over under Dak, 2 games in 9 years, weight 0 under. He's not wrong, by the way. Part of the, also my issue there is, it's not even 9 years. It's 28 years, this whole damn franchise. From Mike Jones, are you ready for the Sanders is to coach and QB for Dallas? The Cowboys, to an extent, are already a circus. This would be the most ridiculous circus in NFL history. Shedeur, different conversation. Dion has said he does not want to be a head coach. And I think to an extent, it's kind of crazy that we would be excited about a 4-win college head coach. I believe in Dion. I think the things he is going to do at Colorado will end up being pretty good. I don't think his whole vibe is going to work in the NFL. The things that can potentially make him a good college head coach are not going to make him a good NFL head coach. He knows that too. So Dion to the Cowboys, I think is a terrible, terrible, terrible idea. Do you want Deion Sanders as the Cowboys head coach? 1 for yes, it's a 0 for me, but go vote in the comments. Crispy, we got to have a bottom 5 front office. They suck at their job. They're pretty good draft when they listen to their executives and scouts and stuff. But when was last time they won a trade in which they were trading somebody away? It's been a long time, right? It's been a long time. They haven't gotten more than a 5th round pick in something like Jimmy or something. It's been a long time. They don't do well in free agency. They do draft well. They ID talent well. It's the rest of it. Mark, any chance Bo Nix drops to us? Do you like him? Chance he's there. I think he should be there because I don't like him that much. It's a fake offense stuff. It kind of was a fake offense at Oregon, which works in college, by the way. But Bo Nix says good backup quarterback. I don't see future top 15, top 10 NFL quarterback. I don't think he has the skill set. I don't think he has the pure arm strength and the processing and everything. He is so much better than he ever was at Auburn when I thought he was never going to make it to the NFL. I think he's a day 2 guy, but you can't have a developmental day 2 guy and Trey Lance. I don't think that's a good plan for Dallas. From Chris, not the producer, if the Cowboys lose Dak, should they trade for Kyler Murray? From a pure talent perspective, it's probably one of your better options. We do know that because of how the Cowboys are as a brand, you kind of have to be built different to handle the stuff that kind of to an extent have to be built different to handle New York media. I don't know. I don't want a franchise quarterback who they try to put in a homework clause in for. That scares me. That scares me. I worry about Kyler already kind of being fully locked in. He's obviously a more physically gifted player than Dak Prescott is, but Dak's better because he's done some of the behind-the-scenes stuff better. I would be anxious about the Kyler Murray angle. Plus, it comes back to this too, right? Well, if the Cardinals are moving on from him, it means he's not good enough for them, right? Not because they already paid him. It's not like he's choosing to leave. So then what? Why would it work for you? Why would it be different in Dallas? Who do you want? A lot of routes you can go here. As the Cowboys quarterback in 2025, sound off for me in the comments section right now. Chris B, how old is Stephen Jones? How much longer we got to wait? Turns 60 in June. Sorry. From Tyler, what's the timeline return for Jonathan Brooks? Still has rehab his ACL. Joe Burrow drafted him high if his return is soon. The stuff that will continue to come out is training camp. We'll see. I remember Hendon Hooker tearing his ACL, and everyone saying he's good to go, cleared for camp, and then he spent half the year on the NFI list. So camp maybe by then. By the way, this whole nobody knows better than the Cowboys because their team doctor did the surgery. Really, guys? Do you think that doctor is hiding information from other teams? Like, I've never believed that stuff. Like, yes, he did the surgery. You trust the surgery. Dr. Dan Cooper is like the ACL, fixer. Like, that's what he does. This idea that, you know what, the Bengals passed on him, but that's because they didn't know what we know. It's all the same information. It's not like the doctor's like lying to the other team to give him to Dallas. That's not how any of this works. So like I don't buy that angle. I am anxious about drafting a guy coming off an injury. I am anxious about that when you don't have much depth. You know, it's funny, if you drafted signed Zach Moss, I'd have been more intrigued by taking Brooks because you have the built-in insurance that you don't have at the moment. And so don't miss any Cowboys news or rumors videos right here on the channel. Hit that sub button for me right now. Chris B says, good God, man. He's only 60. He looks 70 plus. We're doomed. Jerry, by the way, is 82 in October, I think. So, pretty young. Last one here from Matthew. What teams, and Matthew put in a super chat too. I think this is what he meant to put in the super chat. So thank you, Matthew. What teams go after Dak next year? I would pay him now. Is there a possibility of him not having a strong market next year and coming back for less? So I'll try to keep this a bit short, but if the market's down, probably means something bad happened. And that very well could be injury related. So what do the Dolphins do with Tua? That's a question mark. I assume, top three Patriots, Commanders, and the Bears have a franchise quarterback. AFC North's probably in pretty sure. Pittsburgh could be in the market again, though. I'm not paying Russ anything. AFC South. If Will Levis is bad, that team's going to try to spend money immediately. He's only a second-round pick after all. AFC West. If one of the Raiders and Broncos probably aren't going to have a franchise quarterback next season. You know who loves Dak Prescott, guys? Sean Payton loves him. I know that. I know that for a fact. He loved him when he was with these Saints. They do it. The Giants might need a franchise. Probably one of the Giants or Vikings that are needing a franchise guy. NFC South comes around. Maybe the Panthers and Saints are the market, but the Saints are probably too extreme. They've gone the wrong way being too aggressive there. Maybe Matthew Stafford calls it a career. Maybe the Seahawks move on from Geno Smith. There will be teams interested. The Super Chat menu today, $10, signed Drew Pearson mini helmet raffle entry. I think I'm caught up on all the ones that have come in over the course of today. I think I owed one more for Mark and Dwayne, so I'll make sure those are covered off there. $50, the Beer Bong Hall of Fame. As I'm laughing, I see Toad French back in the comments section. That's a throwback one because he was in there as Todd France, 3 or 4 years ago, whatever it was. $20 for a Super Chat. By the way, I'll do 10 push-ups as well. From Chip Mayhew says, all in Skip's ass. Skip sucks, by the way. Blind squirrel, but it was probably one of his funnier tweets because everyone just got rid of the comma and just reposted it for all in my ass. All right, favorite MLB team. What you got here, folks? We'll give some shout-outs here as well. Reds for me, because I only cheer for teams that haven't been good since the 1990s, apparently. Self-burn. Yeah. Chris is a Braves fan, because he's from the area-ish. You're from Alabama. It's that's the MLB team near you. Cubs, Rangers, Atlanta Braves. Go Dodgers. Let's see. Tigers, Astros, Angels. I like how when we answer for the Cowboys, it's always just very different answers. America's team right there. Ecuador man. Did the doctor do Jalen surgery? How'd that work out? Exactly. All right. Now, the Jalen injury was a lot worse than the Brooks one, to be clear. But my issue is we can't act like, well, we know more than everybody else. No, you have the same information. You have the exact same information as anybody else. You trust the guy, sure. He'll give you good info, but it's not like he's not going to tell teams, it's not like he's going to tell, It's bad. It's bad, guys. Don't take him. Don't take him. And then go Dallas. I lied to them. You're good to go. I hate that argument. I hate it. Chris B, you think Stephen Jones would ever sell when Jerry is gone? Please. No. He ain't going to sell either. Unless you can, and even then, even if you dig up the dirt, there's like 5 other Joneses that would just take over. Like, which maybe we can bully them into making Charlotte the next owner. Maybe she can save us. But here's my real concern. A, this is already kind of Steven's team. It ain't going to get better when it's not even the threat of anybody else in there. Chris, you're going to say something there? What's up?
I was just going to say, get the Genie Bus vibes, going.
The comparison here, by the way, is Katie Blackburn for the Bengals. Like, she's actually done a great job kind of taking some control away from Mike Brown. They're spending now. They spent like 7x what you did in free agency this year. 7x. How about that? Ecuador, man, I don't want Brooks, so saying don't do it. No, I get where you're coming from there. I kind of like use your comment as more of a jumping off point. Because I am anxious about, doing a second round pick injury again. Like, that happens. They do it all the time. They love the injured character guy in the second round. And they miss constantly. Like, I don't want to do it. Like, he's a good player. Like, if he were healthy, he wouldn't even make it to your pick probably. But he's there because it's just how it goes. Anyway, if you haven't already, please follow the Cowboys Report on Instagram at Cowboys Report IG. We did post a brief conversation on Jonathan Brooks there, by the way. We'll put the shorts up on YouTube, also as reels on Instagram. I think kind of easier to find from that perspective. So if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram at Cowboys Report IG. Get us to 1,000 followers there. From Wes, a super chat. It's been Steven's team since 2016. Really began the day he prevented Jerry from drafting Johnny Manziel. That was like the turning point, which he was right to do. But that decision, as Jerry said, was right down the line. Every decision since then has been right down the middle, and it's not a great way to go about doing it when you're trying to win a Super Bowl. Great to build a perennial playoff-ish team, not to win the championship. That's all we want in the end. On today's show, we will break down the latest ESPN 7-round mock draft from Matt Miller, as we will react and break down to all of the Cowboys' picks in that mock draft. Now, first, the March-like battle is underway, and we are barely behind Eagles now. We can close the gap on this video alone. I've seen it happen before. So help us out, stick it to Philly, and like the video right now. Let's break down this ESPN 7-round mock draft. First, in round 1, Matt's got the Cowboys taking Amarius Mims out of Georgia. Here's the argument from Miller, and I would be on board with the risks involved still of this pick. It says Dallas let Tyron Smith walk with no obvious replacement on the roster, at least creating another hole elsewhere. Mims is an easy-moving, elite agility, length, and power player. He has started 8 games in college after waiting his turn behind 2023 first-round pick Broderick Jones and missing time last year with an ankle injury. But those 8 games of tape are beautiful. The Cowboys could play Mims at guard and move Smith to tackle, or keep Smith inside and play the ascending Mims on the blind side. In an offseason where Dallas was the last team to sign a free agent, there are more questions than answers right now, so the draft will be crucial. Nothing really wrong from that perspective. The things I saw from Mims were, he's not raw. He just hasn't played. When he's played, he's been really good. This team tends to draft offensive linemen in round 1 really well. They don't miss very often. Mims is risky. Make no mistake about it. Like, there are concerns. I think the medical is a big concern, frankly. But back end of round 1, Mims has the upside, the raw ability, the talent to be a top 5 player from this class. Yes, I would gamble on him. Others on the board in round 1, this board actually felt pretty good for Dallas. Like, you could trade down, frankly, and I'd be okay with it. Tyler Guyton's there as another. He is raw as a tackle. Graham Barton could play guard or center for this team. Liatu Lot, who's got medical concerns, but that makes them valuable, right? Could be a top defensive player in this class if he's healthy. Chop Robinson fits your bursty athletic piece off the edge. A.D. Mitchell among the other dynamic receiver options if you want to go BPA. If Mims is there in round 1, I'm happy with that pick. So will the Cowboys draft offensive line in round 1? Y for yes, N for no. It is the pinned comment on today's video. If that ad comes on YouTube, great. Ignore it. No one cares. Head down to the pinned comment and vote instead. Round 2, Jonathan Brooks. This one wouldn't be a huge surprise. There are things to like and to be very, very scared about as well. Here's the pitch from Matt. The Cowboys have yet to replace Tony Pollard, but could get a potential round 1 prospect on a discount offer after Brooks suffered an ACL tear in November. He should be cleared this summer to return to football action, which gets him on the field in time for training camp. And it's time to take the RB1 title here. He rushed for over 1,000 yards and 10 scores last year before the injury. Had Brooks been healthy, he probably doesn't get to Dallas in round 2. But he's not healthy. And that is a concern because you're drafting a guy coming off an injury in round 2, and they've done that a lot, and it doesn't typically pan out very well. You promised me a healthy career? It's a no-brainer. Can't promise that to me. It makes me anxious, especially when every other running back was on the board in this scenario. Led by Trey Benson from FSU, and you could have pushed them all down even later, potentially. Other guys, Cooper Beebe, who if you don't go tackle in round 1 could make some sense. Tyler Nubin, TJ Temple, Troy Franklin was still there at wide receiver. Not great defensive tackle options, unfortunately, but I will not be surprised if and when they take Jonathan Brooks. They clearly like him. But I am anxious about that ACL tear. Today's show is made possible by Game Time. Game Time is the place to find last-minute tickets to your next big event, sports and non-sports. They take the guesswork out of buying tickets. They got the lowest price guarantee, even cancellation protection, job loss protection as well. You got views from your seats in the venue so you know exactly what your visual is going to be, whether it is concert or sports related. The Game Time guarantee means you will always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create your account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but create your account. Redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. That link and the code, of course, Chat Sports, will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. Always watch out for zone deals, by the way. Can't find them for every game or event, whatever. But you pick the section, Game Time picks the seats for big savings. Who's care if you're in seat 7 or seat 13? Use those zone deals when you find them. I'll say this. I am in love with this third-round pick. Jalen Polk out of Washington falls to Dallas in the third round, and I kind of would be fairly shocked if he actually did fall to Dallas that far. I've got a second-round grade on him myself. Here's what Matt Miller argued about the Texas Tech transfer. The Cowboys seem allergic to adding talent opposite CeeDee Lamb. Thanks for the stray, Matt. But I'm forcing them to give Dak Prescott another playmaker with a physical Polk. He can be a mismatch problem on underneath routes at 6'1", 230 pounds. Kind of a weird argument. He was actually really good downfield this year. So I'm not sure why we're pushing the underneath angle, but yeah, whatever. I digress. You've got a 4.52 athlete with 37.5 inch vert at 200 plus pounds. It's really good athletic ability. Has played some inside and some outside. The Huskies' offense was really good in part because their receivers were so good. I'd love him in the third round. Other players who are on the board, Brandon Dorlus out of Oregon, I am very intrigued by. Jermaine Burton was your next best receiver probably. Jeremiah Trotter, if you want the linebacker. Dwayne Carter out of Duke as another D-line guy. Also, Braylon Allen was there too. 5th round, since there's no 4th round pick, we'll jump ahead here. Hunter, I believe it was pronounced Norzad, the center out of Penn State. Day 3 is the right spot for him. Now, there were times that, the pressures are a little bit high. I think it's more of a compete for a starting role, not like the obvious locked-in starter over Brock Hoffman, but it gives you another option. And I in general, I would like to have the top 100 pick on offensive linemen and non-top 100 picks on an offensive lineman. And that was accomplished here. 2 of your first 4 picks because you're light on draft capital. Who do you want to draft on day 3? Keep it realistic, like don't put in Marvin Harrison Jr., But drop that player name for me in the comments section. Justin Rogers out of Auburn. You know how there's no one-technique depth on this team? Now there is. Justin Rogers, my friends, is a very large human being whose game pretty consistently reflects, what you would expect out of a dude who measured in at 6'2.5", 330 pounds with fantastic length. He's not a very good athlete. Even for his size, it's kind of not good. That's how nose guards are. The nose guards, unless they're like a Vita Vea freak or even Monty Smith freak, trigger alert, I guess, they don't test that great. But depth as a run stopper on late day 3, let's ride. We will have live coverage for you of the 2024 NFL Draft. Do not miss out. We got you guys covered. Hit that sub button right now. To the 7th round, it's another running back, which I find interesting. Kendall Milton out of Georgia. This is a bigger running back. This could be your power back to an extent. Has never really handled a full workload, which is a red flag. But 6.5 yards per carry, 7 yards per carry last year. He's made some nice plays happen in his time in the NFL, or excuse me, college, obviously. You're making him kind of your power back. He's 6'1.5", 225. 4'6", 240 isn't great, but there is some good explosiveness there. He'd probably compete with Hunter Lipke to be your power back and maybe force out a Malik Davis or somebody in the process. Round 7, Kalen DeLoach out of Florida State. This is actually, I mocked him in another mock draft as well, so I like this one. We won't spend that much time on it since we kind of talked about it previously. I'm looking for more. I need more linebacker depth. DeLoach is kind of a straight line athlete for me, but he can blitz, which Mike Zimmer likes, and his profile does translate pretty well to being a special teams demon. He's not the biggest guy. He's sub 6 foot, 210 pounds. He's kind of that safety linebacker hybrid, but he ran a 4.47. So at least weight size, he's a linebacker, but he has the weight of a safety. I should clarify there. Straight line athlete, 7th round special teamer, perfect. There we go. So this is the ESPN 7-round mock draft. Amarius Mims, the 1st round, love it. Jonathan Brooks, round 2. ACL worries me. Jalen Polk in the 3rd round, love that one. And day 3 is all pretty solid. Maybe you don't want a second back, but so be it. 7th rounder, you can't have a bad 7th round pick. Hunter Norzad, Justin Rogers, Kendall Milton, and Kalen DeLoach. So grade this Matt Miller ESPN mock draft for me. A, B, C, D, or F. Drop that grade in the comments section. All right, no loop today, Producer Chris. We've gone on for almost 2 hours. It was a longer show than maybe planned, but that just makes it more fun, I think, for everybody involved. I think there's one super chat from Dwayne we got to get to here, and then we will sign off from today's coverage. If the Cowboys draft a quarterback in the later rounds, who should they take? Honestly, I don't see the benefit to it. Like, you're going to have a new coach next year. We know that. You have Trey Lance, who needs the reps. The reps you'd be taking away from Lance to get to the other guy, I don't see much value there. So like, if you want to take, maybe there's someone there in the 7th round, sure. I kind of doubt Michael Pratt gets to you, but who the hell knows? Sign an undrafted guy, sure. I think your preseason should be all about, hey, let's get Trey Lance reps. So, You can do it, fine, 7th round, whatever, like day 3, cool. But I don't see a ton of value. And after the top 10 guys, it'll be gone. It kind of, just like last year, it does drop off in those later rounds. Chris B, we were surprised if round 1 was DT, wide receiver, corner. I think it'll be offensive line, but if it's a good player, I'm not going to be mad at it. If they take Johnny Newton, I'm not going to be mad. If there's a corner they love, I'm not going to be mad. If there's a receiver that they love, which is probably Brian Thomas, so I doubt gets there anyway, I'm not going to be upset. To an extent, you've kind of not filled any needs, therefore you can still go best player available. Don't miss out on any Cowboys news and rumors, folks. We have you guys covered with all the latest and greatest on America's team. Hit that sub button if you haven't already done so.